Hi, good morning, High Philosophy. Hope you're well and safe, etc. Thank you for the questions. Some of them were absolutely fantastic. Probably actually the best that I've had doing this similar task in years gone by. That one of the pitfalls with these kind of tasks is that people end up going to the factual statements. So that we did get some of them that why. Well, we didn't actually, because one of the questions is why did the boy, why did the adults leave the boy in the field with the sheep's kind of thing, like, kind of pointing towards like the adults partly responsible for the boy lying or what the boy did, kind of. But then typically people's go towards the factual statement, so that the how many sheep were there, or how can the wolf know this, or did the wolf know that the boy was lying? That but even though there was some of these questions scattered through your work, the main focus was still on philosophy, which was fantastic to see. That so when I was going to do a thing where I put the questions up and you reply to the questions and you interact with questions, but I don't know how that would go with you talking to each other and whether or not you would appreciate that. So I thought what I would try and do is kind of consolidate it and sort of move on. That the questions were fantastic. They fell into kind of two broad categories. Once I was trying to kind of put them into clumps. That one theme that came through again was about lying, and about truth. That and about whether or not whether or not it's wrong to lie, or whether or not the boy. Oh, sorry, the difference between a practical joke came out as well, and there's a practical joke and and what the boy was doing, which was a lie. That well, anyway, that and the second one was being about whether or not we can hold the boy responsible, and whether or not the boy is morally wrong, whether or not the villagers are morally wrong for allowing the boy to die for a lie. That so there's two things there. One is epistemology, the study of knowledge, and one is moral philosophy. So I think that Mr. Ramajan's going to do some other stuff with you. So I'll leave the moral thing alone just now, and I'll look at epistemology. So what I'd like you to look at is what we know and what we don't know, and what we mean by what we know. That if you get irritated by that sort of double speak, then it's going to be a long year. I'm hoping you got that from the text as well. So I'd like to go over the text with you, if that's all right. And if I do this, nope, this, nope, this, nope. Oh wait, I need to get rid of that. Yes, there we go. Right, so excuse me. Having now come to the end of our brief and very incomplete review of the problems of philosophy, it will be well to consider in conclusion what the value of philosophy and what it ought to be, why it ought to be studied. It is more necessarily to consider this question in view of the first fact that many men under the influence of science and practical affairs are inclined to doubt whether philosophy is anything better than innocent but useless trifling hair-splitting distinction and controversies on matters concerning which knowledge is possible. That this is interesting mainly because that Stephen Hawking said something very similar in the things that I posted to you. Excuse me. That and actually, when you speak to a lot of people about philosophy, whether they do love it or they don't love it, that's one of the common criticisms, that it's just hair splitting. That we're debating what a single word means and whether or not that has any benefit. There's a £17 million lawsuit that was successful because of a comma. That in the French version of it there was not a comma, and in the English version of it there was a comma. It was a Canadian lawsuit, and it was a bilingual kind of document. That and because of that one comma, it cost the business £17 million. It's important that words, language, how we communicate, these words are important. They have meaning behind it, and we shouldn't throw them away or throw them about. Or try to adapt and change the meaning or not understand the meaning to it. So but of course I'm going to say that I'm going to back up hair splitting. But the really interesting thing about high philosophy, by the way, is that a lot of people get really annoyed in the first month because we keep going, but is it? But is it? But is it? That and then by the time we get to November, December time, as I'm kind of like discussing things with you, you start chinning me on things like the well, how do you know that? But how do you know that? But how do you know that? So it does start to change your mind into this more kind of analytical kind of mindset. The view of philosophy appears to result partly from the wrong conception of the ends of life, partly from the wrong conception of the kind of goods which philosophy strives to achieve. Physical science, through the medium of invention, is useful to innumerable people who are wholly ignorant of it. I love this one because I used to use this in class. That how does a fridge work? how does Wi-Fi work? And this is where one of the people, she left school 2 years ago. I remember asking this in core, and she went, "You plug it in, idiot." It's like, yeah, that's not how a fridge works. That's how you that's how you connect electricity to a fridge. Thanks. But how does it work? How does find out that, honestly, the wiki page for how fridges work is boring but fascinating. That how does 5G work? How does it work that it can send signals through the air? How does it, obviously people understand this. It's not magic, it's not a mystery, and it's not divine, but it's explainable. But we take these things for granted, and we just assume that it's good because it gives us benefit. And because why wouldn't we? The fridge cools down your food and it keeps things fresh, so of course there's benefit in that. And people who make fridges, yes, good for them. Thus, the study of science is sorry, the wrong bit. Thus, the study of physical science is to be recommended not only or primarily because of the effect of the student, but rather the effect of mankind in general. I think that is true for science, that people go into science because they want to improve humanity, make mankind better. This utility does not belong to philosophy. If the study of philosophy has any value at all for others than students of philosophy, it must only be indirectly through its effects on us, effects upon the lives of those who study it. As the effects, therefore, if anywhere, the value of philosophy is primarily sought. And that's what he's saying. He's saying that it's not the effect to the wider world, it's the indirect effect it has on you. If you look at the top 100 CEOs in the UK, about 40% of them have degrees in philosophy. In fact, philosophy teachers all over Scotland have these fantastic posters where you have Matt Groening, the creator of The Simpsons. You have, I'm trying to think of other philosophy graduates. Shakira recently did a short philosophy course, so that anyway, that it changes you as a person. It makes you, actually there was a study out recently about Mr. Ramanujan has a quote, said it in a meeting once about how a rising tide raises all boats, and there's the study shows that in England and Wales, pupils who study philosophy in primary school, it improves maths and English. Literacy goes up as a result of it. So it's a background skill as well as a direct kind of like academic kind of area of study. But further, if we were not to fail in our endeavour to determine what the value of philosophy, we must first free our minds of prejudice wrong, called the practical man. The practical man, as this word is often used, is one who recognises only material needs, who realises that men must have food for the body, but is oblivious to the necessities of providing food for the mind. If all men were well off, if poverty and disease had been reduced to the lowest possible point, then still remain much to be done to produce the value to society, and even the existing world, the goods of the mind are at least important than the goods of the body. It is exclusively among the goods of the mind that the value of philosophy is to be found. Sorry, dyslexia, struggles with reading. So this is where I think Russell encapsulates philosophy beautifully, that it is for the mind, that these things will physical exercise will train the body, that going for a run will strengthen your muscles and your heart, etc., that being fantastic at baking feeds the body and the mind as well, I suppose. But philosophy is for the enrichment of the mind, to feed the mind and to stretch the mind. That if we're saying that the evolution process that we discussed on Monday, as the result of us tinkering and interacting with the world, about learning new things and making things better, how is the mind not part of that? How is it not us sitting thinking about how to make things better? That I'm going to skip forward because you'll find with a lot of philosophical texts that they go over the same things again and again. The next parts of it look at specific fields, and the next parts are great, if I remember this one right. Yep, it is. That about questioning skills. That philosophy is the field that generates the question. That if a scientist sits and thinks that, I wonder what would happen if I dropped this ball off this tower, kind of Galilean experiment. That is. The idea that starts that is philosophical in nature, because he's pondering about the potentiality of an action, and that is philosophical. That is then wrapped in this kind of like scientific matrix of the scientific method, sort of thing. But as soon as a question's answered, that's it. It's no longer philosophical. Go back over it again. That one of the examples we'll give you in course is the Molyneux problem. Molyneux was a lord in Ireland. His wife went blind from a disease. I can't remember which one. Sorry. or deaf. Well, I can't remember. Sorry, is Sheila blind or deaf? And she was writing back and forth with John Locke, and he asked, sorry, if I was to train my wife on shapes and mathematics and etc., and not and then I gave her back her sight. It was sight. Would she be able to identify a shape kind of within the room? That MIT in 2011 did this experiment. They were able to find people with retina damage who were blind, give them back their sight through a retina transplant, get them back in a couple of days afterwards, because apparently he was quickly, put them in a room, say, show me the sphere, show me the square, show me the triangle, and they had a worse chance. Them choosing the right answer was worse than them just guessing randomly, or any of us just guessing randomly, sort of thing. So it showed that that when it comes to knowledge, when it comes to these sort of things, that science and philosophy can help each other answer the questions to it. And it's not as if we're two sides of a spectrum. That if anything, I would say philosophy, as I said on Monday, is a meta subject, and all these disciplines come off of philosophy. That one of them obviously being the academic philosophy, because that's we're studying the history of the past the history of philosophy and what great writers have said before. I want to go back to my bit. What should we do? That. Yep. Right. And it's this last bit that I wanted to focus on. Thus, to sum up a discussion of the value of philosophy. Philosophy is to be studied not for the sake of definite answers to its questions, since no definite answers can, as a rule, be known to be true, but rather for the sake of the questions themselves, because the questions enlarge our conception of what is possible, enrich our intellectual imagination, diminish the dogmatic assurance which closes the mind against speculation, but above all, because through the greatness of the universe which philosophy contemplates, the mind is also rendered great and becomes capable of that union with the universe which constitutes the highest good. That for me is goosebumps, because he's saying that given the grandness and scope of the known universe, that the mind is able to interpret the size and scope of that, and because of that, our minds also become great. And that for me is why I read Bertrand Russell with higher philosophy classes every single year, and I have done for my 9-10 years in Williamwood, and I will continue to do so. So what I'd like us to move on to is a wee bit of a task, right? So in The Boy Who Cried Wolf, we had truth and we had lies. So the first thing I'd like you to do, and all this is in the Google Forms, all this is on the website, on the post as well. What is a lie? Go dictionary definition if you want with this one, but that's fine. What is a lie? Next thing after that is, what do you mean by true? I don't want you to go to the dictionary with this one. I want you to tell me what you would say is true. Don't go for the dictionary. Honestly, that it's easy. I can't police this, but please don't. Go for the true knowledge. Go for you learning this yourself. So what does true mean? And don't just say it's not a lie. Don't go with the opposite of it. Otherwise we get circular, don't we? We end up, Kant does this, where it's what is goodwill? Goodwill is acting on duty. Well, what's your duty? To act on goodwill. What's goodwill? And we go round and round and round and round and round, and we don't get anything from that with it. So a proper definition of what true is. Then what I'd like you to do is tell me 3 things that you would say are true, and I want you to back this up with a source. So I want you to say, I was to say that, I can't give you an example because one of you don't use this example, but I was to say today is Wednesday, because, and then I took a screenshot of my Google Calendar, and there's the day was highlighted as Wednesday. That would be my evidence for it, kind of thing. I know some people are going to pick that apart. That's the point of doing this task, so we can pick apart the sources and the claims, kind of thing. So don't get ahead of it. So it can be photographs, it can be web links. So add anything you want to kind of to it. Then what I want you to do is have a look at the Crash Course Philosophy on Plato's tripartite theory of knowledge. Plato said something needed 3 things in order to be classified as genuine, true knowledge. What is it? Then the last bit on that is, do you agree? Do you agree Plato is right? If you have these 3 things, is what you have true, genuine knowledge that you can build things on, you can kind of like publish in books, etc., etc. That's what I'd like to do. If you've got time, I'll start 2 threads. One of them is about ultimate questions, about like what what big questions, what big grand questions have plagued your mind as a kid and as a teenager. The other thing is how you want to do this. Like, would you rather have like a week's worth of stuff to work through, or would you rather do little bits? You let us know what you want to do. And last task, a poster competition. Plato's Cave is a phenomenally fantastic thought experiment that I put the video on the post for that. I'd like you to make a poster showing Plato's Cave. It can be an advertisement, it can be a travel brochure poster, it could be a competition poster. I'd like you to try and put Plato's Cave onto a poster for me. And since this is all online, you can use online images. You don't have, or you can draw it yourself if you want any bonus points. But I'd like you to make something and show me Plato's Cave and prize for the winner. I don't know what the prize is going to be. It might need to wait till August, or if you can think of something, then sure. But so anyway. That's your work. Thanks for the work so far. It really has. It's been fantastic reading the Boy Who Cried Wolf's questions. Best that I've had in years and years and years of teaching this. That not going straight for the factual, going straight for the meat of the matter. That about whether or not the boy was right or the boy was wrong with it. So very, very well done for that. So message me if you need any help with anything. That's us for the rest of the week. If I can get something out on Friday, if we get a lot of work in, then I'll put something out on Friday. But if not, Mr. Ramanujan will pick up on Monday. Thank you, and see you later.